I remember the very first night I started questioning my relationship with money. I was lying on my small bed in a rented apartment, staring at the ceiling while my bank app showed a balance that was frighteningly close to zero. My paycheck had come just 3 weeks earlier, and yet it was already gone. Rent, groceries, bills, and countless little purchases I barely remembered had drained it away. I felt tired, not from work itself, but from the endless cycle of earning and spending. Deep down, I knew life wasn't supposed to feel like running on a treadmill that never stops. That night, I whispered to myself, there must be a better way. It was a quiet thought, but it was the spark that pushed me to learn, to search, and to slowly rebuild how I handled money, step by careful step. In the beginning, I was clueless. I typed desperate questions into search engines. How to stop being broke? How to save money? Why am I always out of cash? The answers led me down rabbit holes of articles, forums, and videos. The common theme I noticed was surprisingly simple. Money isn't just about how much you earn. It's about how well you manage it. That truth hit me harder than I expected. I had always blamed my salary, thinking it wasn't enough. But the reality was different. I had no plan, no system, and no awareness of where my money went. So I began with a notebook and a pen. Every time I spent even $1, I wrote it down. Coffee, snacks, rides, subscriptions, all of it went on the list. After 1 month, I was shocked. The small things were silently bleeding me dry. Once I saw the truth on paper, I couldn't ignore it anymore. I realized my money was not disappearing by accident. I was letting it leak out, dollar by dollar, choice by choice. The next step was painful, cutting back. At first, it felt like punishment. I stopped buying my daily coffee, I limited eating out, and I canceled streaming services I barely used. My friends laughed at me, calling me cheap, but I stayed focused. After a few weeks, I began to notice something new. Instead of feeling deprived, I felt lighter. Each day I resisted temptation, my savings account grew a little. For the first time in years, I had a small cushion. It wasn't much, maybe a few $100s, but it meant safety. If something unexpected happened, I wouldn't fall apart. That feeling of security was worth more than any coffee run or late night delivery. With savings starting to build, I faced a new question. What should I do with this money? I knew keeping it in a savings account wouldn't make it grow much. That's when I stumbled upon the world of investing. At first, it intimidated me. I imagined men in suits shouting in front of screens, charts moving up and down, and fortunes lost overnight. It looked terrifying. But then I learned that investing didn't have to be like that. Ordinary people could invest too, starting small and simple. The key was patience, not gambling. I opened my first investment account with just $50. It felt almost silly, like throwing a pebble into the ocean. But the act of starting gave me a new identity. I wasn't just a spender or a saver anymore. I was an investor. Even if only in the smallest way. The early months were tough. Every time my portfolio dropped by a few dollars, I panicked. I thought I was making a huge mistake. But as I kept reading, I discovered that the market always moves in waves. What mattered wasn't the daily rise and fall, but the direction over years. I reminded myself, investing is like planting a tree. You don't expect shade the day you plant the seed. You water it, protect it, and let time do its work. Slowly, I shifted my perspective. Instead of checking my account every morning, I set a schedule to invest a little money each month, no matter what. $10 here, $20 there. It wasn't much, but it added up. More importantly, it taught me patience and discipline, skills I never had before. As my investments grew, so did my mindset. I stopped asking, how can I spend this money now? and started asking, how can this money grow for me? That change in perspective was powerful. Suddenly, the things I once craved didn't excite me as much. Buying new clothes or gadgets gave me a quick thrill, but watching my account slowly rise gave me lasting satisfaction. Each increase in my balance felt like proof of my efforts, a quiet reward for the sacrifices I made. And the best part? It wasn't luck. It was me, my choices, my consistency, my decision to start. That gave me confidence I had never felt before. For the first time, I truly believed I was building something meaningful for my future self. Of course, the journey wasn't always smooth. There were moments when doubt crept in. Friends posted pictures from vacations I couldn't afford, or they invited me to expensive dinners I had to decline. At times, I felt left out, even embarrassed. I questioned whether all the sacrifice was worth it. But then I remembered the fear I used to live with, the fear of emergencies, the fear of being broke before payday. Compared to that, the sacrifices felt small. I reminded myself that wealth isn't about showing off to others. True wealth is peace of mind, knowing you're secure no matter what. That thought kept me steady through the temptations and the loneliness, and over time, those doubts grew weaker. Years passed, and the small habit became my lifestyle. My emergency fund grew, my investments multiplied, and eventually I started exploring new opportunities, like building a side business. What amazed me most was how money no longer controlled me. Instead, I was in control of it. The journey was never just about dollars and cents, it was about identity. I was no longer the person stuck in survival mode. I had become a planner, a builder, someone who could shape their own destiny. And with that shift came a desire to help others. I began sharing my story with friends, family, and even strangers online. To my surprise, people listened. They saw themselves in my struggles, and my journey gave them hope that they too could change. Looking back now, I realized that the greatest transformation wasn't in my bank account, it was inside me. Learning to budget taught me awareness. Saving taught me discipline. Investing taught me patience. Together, they reshaped the way I live, the way I think, and the way I dream. I discovered that financial freedom isn't about reaching a magic number. It's about knowing you're no longer trapped. It's about waking up without the weight of money worries pressing down on you. That freedom is priceless. And the best part is, it's not reserved for the lucky or the rich. It's possible for anyone willing to take the journey. If you're listening to this, maybe you feel stuck like I once did. Maybe you're tired of the paycheck to paycheck cycle, or afraid of emergencies you can't afford. I want you to know something. You're not alone, and it doesn't have to stay this way. You don't need to be a financial genius. You don't need thousands of dollars to start. You just need one decision, the decision to change. Begin with something small. Save $10. Cancel one expense you don't need. Open a beginner investment account, even if it's only with a few dollars. Each small step is a seed, and over time, those seeds grow into a forest of possibilities. I'm living proof of that truth. And if I can do it, so can you. The road to financial freedom is long, but it's worth every step. Along the way, you'll face doubts, setbacks, and temptations. But remember, every time you choose to save instead of spend, every time you invest instead of waste, you're not just moving money, you're moving your future. One day, you'll look back and realize that the person you are today is far stronger, wiser, and freer than the person you used to be. That's the true reward of this journey. So if you've been waiting for the right time to start, let me be clear, the right time is now. Your future self is waiting, and it will thank you for every step you take today.